In stage 22 we meet our third and final type of participles, perfect active participles, or PAPs for short. So just like we went through with perfect passive participles, we can figure out what they do from their name. So perfect refers to a completed action in the past. Because they're active, that means that the subject does the action. And because they're participles, their function is to describe nouns. And so we translate them into English as having something. So if we go through a couple of English examples, the boy, having sneezed, needed a tissue. So the having sneezed is a completed action which is happening prior to the main verb, obviously why he needs a tissue. Another example, having walked to the tuck shop, I bought a slushie. I did the walking. In the past, it's a completed action which enables me to now buy a slushie. Notice that both having walked and bought are in the past, and so here you could kind of think of your perfect active participle kind of like the pluperfect in that it happens in the past of the past. However, if we had this in the present, it would work just the same. It happens before the main verb. So having sneezed, I now need a tissue. The sneezing happened before the needing a tissue. So here we'll just look at a couple of Latin examples. So the first one, latro colinam ingressus puellas castigavit. Latro, having entered the kitchen, told off the girls. Notice that both latro and ingressus are nominative masculine singular, but they have different endings because ingressus, the perfect active participles, has a group 1, declension 1 and 2 ending. Latro is declension 3 noun. Tu elephantum agressus, brachium eos facile fregisti. You, having attacked an elephant, easily broke his arm. So having attacked an elephant in the past, it's easy to break someone's arm. So one question that you'll probably have is how to tell whether it's a perfect passive or perfect active participle, and so you can tell this by when you look up a word in the vocabulary list. So if it has a perfect passive participle, you'll remember that this will be the fourth part of the verb. So amo, I love, amare, to love, amawi, I loved, amatum, having been loved. So if you see that, you know that it has to be a perfect passive participle. However, perfect active participles are listed separately, kind of like an adjective with their masculine, feminine, and neuter forms. So regressus, regressa, regressum is having returned. So you'll immediately see that flag that it is a perfect active participle, because notice how they both have group 1 adjective endings or declension 1 and 2 endings. So you can't quite tell from the endings, but if you look it up in the back of the book, you'll be able to tell. So there's a bunch of common perfect active participles in Latin, and you should be quite familiar with this list because this will help you to identify them quickly when you're translating rather than having to look them up all the time. A lot of them are to do with movement because that can't really be a passive action. So we have adeptus, having obtained, aggressus, having attacked, conspicatus, having caught sight of, egressus, having left, ingressus, having entered, locutus, having spoken, passus, having suffered, precatus, having prayed, profictus, having set out, progressus, having progressed, regressus, having returned, secutus, having followed, and finally suspicatus, having suspected. So see what patterns you can find here. Obviously, if you see something with gressus on the end, it's going to be a perfect active participle. So just key points to finish up this video. Perfect active participles are used to describe nouns as having done an action in the past, prior to the main verb in the sentence. We translate them into English as having something, as opposed to perfect passive participles, which you remember are having been something. We can tell them apart from perfect passive participles because they're listed separately in your vocabulary list, and I suggest that you learn the list on the previous slide to help you speed up this process. And just like perfect passive participles, they have first and second declension endings, i.e. group 1 adjectives.